Okay, so yesterday we talked about just the distributive property. And today what we're going to do is we're going to talk about problems that require you to do both distribute and then combine like terms. So this is really getting into our level 4 type problems. So you have to be able to do basically all 3 of the types below in order to get that level 4. Or if you can at least do part of it right with small mistakes, that's your 3.5. Okay, and also, if you get this question right, if you would get these questions right, but maybe you missed the combining like terms question, you would actually still be able to get your level 3. So what's kind of nice about this particular standard is it doesn't necessarily matter which problems you get. The more problems you get correct, the more points you get. Okay, we are on page 21. I'm going to zoom in here so that we can kind of write down our steps. I'm going to write them down over here on the side. And typically what we've been doing first is either distribute or combine like terms. But the question is, when you have both of them involved, which one comes first? So in a problem that has both distributive and combining like terms, which one are we going to do first? Okay, and the answer is, so what I'm going to put down here is that step 1, what we're going to do first, anytime we see a problem like this, is we're going to simplify. We're going to simplify the x side of the equation. So that's whichever side has the x's on it, so that's this side here. Kept all of these on the left so that we're not confused about that. They don't move left to right today. So we're going to simplify the x side, which today is the left side. But when you do that, which thing am I doing first? Okay. So the first thing you have to do when you simplify is you have to get rid of the parentheses. So you have to distribute. So if there's any distributive property in any problem, that is the first thing you should do. The second thing you should do is do any combining. After you have simplified by doing your distributive and your combining, then you are right back to your undo, addition and subtraction, and then undo any multiplication and division. Okay, which what we've kind of come to find is that there's no undoing division. All of these problems are all multiplication at the end, and so we're basically just dividing as our last step. Okay, so let's get to it. So that's our steps. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in so we can see the problems a little bit better. But the first thing I'm going to look for is, do I see parentheses? Am I going to need to do any distributive property? So look for those parentheses. And that tells you that you need to do multiplication for the distributive property. All right. Ooh. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to distribute this 3 on the outside. So 3 times 2 and 3 times this minus 1. All right. But I'll go ahead and start by writing my 4x. So I'll just go from left to right, writing down what's still there and changing what I need to change. So I'll leave the 4x. This helps with when you're typing on the Go formative to just start from left to right. So 4x plus. Now I'm going to go ahead and multiply this in. So that's 6x minus, go ahead and multiply that in, 3 equals 17. Okay. And if you want, you can keep that line in there. We're not doing anything over on the right side over here yet, so we're not doing anything on both sides. Okay, so then are there any two things that I can put together? So here I've got a 4x and I've got a 6x, so I can put those two things together. So if they're on the same side, don't do the opposite, just put them together. I know that's hard because we've been doing a lot of doing the opposites, but since they're on the same side, you're going to use the same sign that you're seeing and add them together. So this is going to be 10x's. Bring down your minus 3 equals 17. So when we've done that distributive property, when we've done that combining like terms, now we're going to add 3 to both sides. Okay, go from left to right again. So I'm going to keep my 10x there. These will cancel each other out. 17 plus 3 is 20. Divide by 10. And x equals 2. Okay, let's try one more together, and then we'll start the homework. So the homework is at the bottom of this page. It's still on page 21. Okay, so again, I'm going to start from left to right, just writing in my next step, but I notice these parentheses, so I know I'm going to have to multiply this 2 into the parentheses to get rid of the parentheses. So 2 times x is 2x plus 2 times 6 is 12. Continue on with plus 7x equals 39. So 2 has an x on it, 7 has an x on it, so those are the two I know I'm going to put together. So 2 and 7 is 9 x's. Bring down my plus 12 equals 39. So I did my distributive property, I did my combining like terms, now I'm ready to undo my addition subtraction. So we'll minus 12 from each side. And we'll go 9x equals 39 minus 12 is 27. Divide by 9. And you get x to equal 3. Okay, now we try it on our own. So we did those two together. We'll start this next one, number 1, we'll start that together, and the 6 problems at the bottom of this page are the practice problems that we'll enter onto Go Formative. It is important that you enter at least half of the problems with work onto Go Formative. So even if you want to do them on the paper, you'll have to enter the work onto Go Formative for me. So it might be just easier to go ahead and click onto the Go Formative and do your practice and your work there. But if you're wanting to do it on paper first and then put it online, you certainly can. Okay. You can start with your line right here at the middle if you want. It's not a requirement though. So we've got 6 times x. That's the first thing I'm going to do. I've got to get rid of these parentheses. So 6 times x is 6x. Minus 6 times 3 is 18. It's very common for students to forget to multiply the second number. To make sure both of them get multiplied by the 6. Now I'm going to combine like terms. This time, it's not the x's that need to be combined. I only have one x here. I just have my 6x. But this, let's be very careful here, negative 18 and plus 7, those two need to get put together. Now you might be saying, well, I just want to deal with them separately. Please don't, because when we get to our next standard, Unit 2, Standard 3, you're going to make life harder on yourself. So please just practice this now and get it down now so that that standard goes easier for you. So I'll bring down my 6x, and then I just typed that into my calculator to get the number, which is negative 11 equals 31. I'll add 11 to both sides. So I've got 6x equals 42 divided by 6, and I get x to be 7. If you enter in your answer and for some reason that doesn't turn green, the first thing I would check and see that you multiplied both numbers times 6. It's very common for students to multiply the first one. So you would get 3x here, and then you might put 3 on accident instead of taking 3 times 3 to get 9. So it's very common. That happens a lot. That's the first thing I would check if you don't get a correct answer, is I would check and see if you multiplied both numbers in the parentheses.